Okay, this is going to be the week 5 supplement for Math 101. We're getting into the algebra section, so we're going to review a little bit of the things that you need for algebra. The first one is the order of operations. If you remember, some people use this PEMDAS, but what it stands for is we're going to do the first parentheses, and then exponents, and then multiplication, and then division. Okay, and this all goes from left to right, and then we finish up with addition or subtraction. And remember, these two are either or. So if you come across multiplication or division, you do that before you do addition or subtraction. So this first one, we have 12 divided by 3 plus 4 minus 24 divided by 3 times 8. So as we're looking through this, we don't see any parentheses. Okay, there are no exponents. So we're going to go through and we're going to do the division first. So we're going to do the 12 divided by 3. That's the 4. This is addition, so we don't do that. This is subtraction, so we don't do that. So we're going to do this division first. So 24 divided by 3 is 8. And then we left this times 8 here. So all we did was this first division. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Plus 4 minus 24 divided by 8, or divided by 3 is 8 times 8. Now we have this. The only thing I can do is this multiplication. So 4 plus 4 stays the same, minus 8 times 8 is 64. And then we go through and we do the addition or subtraction. So 4 plus 4 is 8, minus 64 is the negative 56. Okay, so this first one to practice by hand. 100 minus 4, parentheses, 7 minus 4, close parenthesis, cubed. So what is this going to be? Well, the first thing we're going to do is work inside those parentheses. 7 minus 4 is 3, and then we have 3 cubed. Okay. Then we're going to do exponents. So this is going to be 100 minus 4 times 3 cubed is 27. So now we have multiplication, so we're going to go 100 minus 4 times 27 is 108, and then I can subtract 100 minus 108 is negative 8. Okay, how about this one? Okay, again, evaluate by hand. I have subtraction, here I have division, so I would do that first. 100 minus 50 divided by 5 is 10 times 10. Now I have multiplication here. So this would be 100 minus 10 times 10 is 100. So I get 0. Okay. The calculator. Your calculator has been programmed to use the order of operations. So, for example, if you type 3 plus 7 over 5 on a calculator, we would type 3 plus 7 in parentheses. This fraction bar acts as a parenthesis. So you have to put those in there because you're dividing that sum, by 5, not just the 7. Okay? So if we look at this, use your calculator to compute this. All right? So what am I going to do first here? I'm just going to type in the top. So I'm going to type 6 minus parenthesis 4 plus 1 parenthesis squared. So you can kind of see what I typed here. Okay, that's just the top. And I'm going to get a negative 19. On the bottom, I'm going to get 9 minus 3 times 4. And I get a negative 3. So 19 divided by 3, we're just going to leave it as a fraction and get 19 thirds. Negative divided by negative is positive. Okay. This second one's a little bit harder to compute, but again, I'm going to type this into my calculator exactly as it occurs. So I'm going to have two parentheses, 1 plus 0.05 divided by 12, close one of the parentheses, and then I'm going to raise it. Now, you have to be careful because if you notice on my calculator, it didn't move me to an exponent. It just kind of wrote it there. So I'm going to put this whole thing in parentheses, that 12 times 15, because that's all in my exponent. Minus 1 close parenthesis. So on top, you should get 1.1137039 something. Okay? Oops, I forgot this 400 out in front. Okay? On the bottom, 0.05 divided by 12, I get 0.004166667. Okay? So you can see what I have here on my calculator. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this 400 times this first number. Now, most of these calculators, you can just go up and grab that number divided by this. So I'm plugging it all in at once, and now I get a nice number here. Not a nice number, but I get the actual answer, 5766. Okay? So make sure you try that one on your own, and you can know how to use your calculator. All right? All right, then we get into evaluating expressions. Okay, some of the words you're going to need when you're doing these things. This is 3 plus 5, so that's how we would say it. Okay, another word that means addition is sum. So the sum of 3 and 5. N minus 1, okay, that's how we would say it. That's the word difference, the difference of n and 1. Okay, so difference means subtraction. 6 times 7 would be the product of 6 and 7. Product means multiplication. X divided by y is the quotient of x and y. So the quotient means division. Okay? All right, so notice that the phrases do not form a complete sentence because the phrase does not have a verb. An equation is two expressions linked with an equal sign. Okay, when you read the words, the symbols represent an equation, then you have a complete sentence. So 3 plus 5 equals 8. The sum of 3 and 5 is equal to 8. N minus 1 equals 14. Just exactly the same way. Y plus 9 is equal to 2y minus 3. Okay, that assumes multiplication. Okay, so then we get down here. What are some of these terms? Okay, if we just have an expression of 7, that's the only term. Y would be the only term. X plus 7, this is going to be what we refer to later as a binomial. It's two terms. I can't add those together because they're not like terms. So my terms would be x and 7. Here I have three terms, 2x, 7y, and 4. Okay, a term is the constant of a product in one variable. So 3x squared is one term, 4x squared is another term, 5y, and 3 are also all different terms. So identify each term in this. Okay, each one of these is a different term, so that shouldn't be so hard. Okay? All right, then we get into, again, breaking these terms up. We're going to look at coefficients. Okay? Again, I'm not going to test you on these definitions, but we should understand what we're talking about. The coefficient is the number in front of the variable. So here's 7. There's no variable, so that is just the coefficient. 9a, the coefficient is 9. Here's one that kind of messes you up. Y, even though there's no number in front of it, we assume it to be a 1. And then 5x squared, 5 is the number in front, so that becomes the coefficient of 5x squared. Okay, identify each term and then identify the coefficient. So let me do that up here. So 9x cubed is one term, the coefficient is another. Okay, so this is my term, this is my coefficient. 2x is another term, 2 is my coefficient. 5x squared, even though it's subtraction, okay, we just think of it as 5x squared, so my coefficient is 5. 6x, coefficient is 6. 40x, I'm running out of room here, coefficient is 40. And then the 8xy, the coefficient is simply the 8. Okay? Oh, and I did the wrong problem. I did this one up here. Well, that's okay. I'll leave this one for you guys to do. So you guys do that one. Because down here we want like terms, okay? So if I look at this, I can kind of see my like terms. Here's a like term here. Here's a like term here. These are both x squared. So 4x minus 5x, 4 minus 5 is negative 1. My coefficient becomes negative 1x squared. 2x and 6x are like terms. They both have same variable and different coefficients. 2 plus 6 is 8, so I get 8x. Okay. Whoops, and then I have a minus 40x, so I'm going to subtract that. 8 minus 40 is negative 32. And then 8xy is different than the other ones, so I end up with 8xy. So I think my final answer is going to be negative 1x squared minus 32x plus 8xy. Okay? And I'm going to leave this one for you guys to do. Identify the like terms and add them together. Oh, and you know what? I think they just wanted me to identify the terms here. So just go through this one and identify each of the like terms. And down here is where we get into simplifying, which is what I just did here. So let's look at this. Here I have 6x squared. I'm going to underline all the x squareds. 6x squared plus 5x squared is 11x squared. Okay. Then I will put an arrow underneath just the x's. So negative 3x minus 3x is a negative 6x. I'll put a box around the y squareds, and I think that's the only one I have. So there's nothing to add to it. Here's a 7y. I'll put an arrow on top of those like terms. 7y minus 3y is 4y. And then this constant, it's the only constant that I have, so it doesn't have any like terms. I just leave it alone. Okay? All right. Number 10. If we're trying to simplify this, this goes pretty far back into algebra. 2x plus 1 squared becomes 2x plus 1 times 2x plus 1. Let me move this up a little bit. And I have to use FOIL here. 2x times 2x is 4x squared. 2x times 1 is 2x. 2x times 1 is 2x. 1 times 1 is 1. Okay? The second one, x minus 1 squared. I'm going to kind of run out of room here. X minus 1 squared is x times x is x squared minus x plus 1. Okay? So what I have is this minus all of this. So let me rewrite this thing as 4x squared plus 4x plus 1. That's this term. Minus x squared minus 2x plus 1. That's all of this. And now I need to subtract each of these. So 4x squared minus x squared is 3x squared. 4x minus a negative 2x. So 4x minus a negative 2x is actually a positive 6x. And then 1 minus 1 is 0. So this thing simplifies to that. So make sure you go through that. Okay? All right. This all brings us to what we refer to as function notation. Okay? A lot of times, if you remember in algebra class, we substitute y in f of x. So this would be read f. This is read as f of x, not f times x. This is f of x. Okay? The letter x represents the input or the independent variable. Y represents the output variable. Okay? So for example, let's say we had the input is the name of the month and the output is the number of days in that month. Okay? So we would write that as f of month. Okay? So the day is the f of the month. So this is what they're referring to here. Your month is your input, your output is how many days. Okay, so F really just is acting like the rule. Okay, so January has 31 days. So F of January would be 31. F of February would be equal to 28. The number of days in February is 28. Okay, on most years. Obviously, I'm not talking about leap year. Okay, so when we get down to this function, f of x equals x plus 3. X is my input, f is my rule. So my rule is I'm just adding 3 to it. So the rule is to add 3. So if we input the number 9, the function would be 9 plus 3 or 12. So that would look like this. F of 9, I'm plugging 9 into f. This becomes 9 plus 3. I end up with 12. Okay. Here they want me to evaluate this function, f of x equals x squared plus 3x minus 4, where minus 5, where the input is 4. So you can see down here, we took a 4 and we plugged it in every place we saw an x. So I had 4 squared plus 3 times 4 minus 5. Using my order of operations, 4 squared is 16. 3 times 4 is 12. So I do those two things first. 16 plus 12 is 28, minus 5 is 23. So make sure we go through that. Okay? So f of 4 is 23. I'll do one of these for you, and I'm going to leave the other two for you guys to finish. So f of 3 would be 3 squared minus 5 times 3. 3 squared is 9, minus 5 times 3 is 15. 9 minus 15 is negative 6. So I need you guys to do these two. So that shouldn't be too bad. Okay, so hopefully that's a quick review of some stuff you need. Good luck working on this stuff, and I will see you later.